Hey guys, and welcome back to another Addict with a Pen video. In today's video, we will be covering a topic of which I am very passionate about. Today we'll be talking about 21 Pilots' song off Trench, Neon Gravestones. Before we start, I'd like to issue a trigger warning, as this video talks a lot about suicide and mental health. If any of these subjects may be difficult for you to listen to, I'd recommend that you click off. With that out of the way, let's get into it. A central theme of Neon Gravestones is its critique of society's tendency to romanticize or glorify tragedy, especially in cases of suicide. In today's media-driven world, stories of individuals who succumb to mental health struggles often receive significant attention, sometimes portraying these tragedies in ways that intentionally or not amplify the notion of heroism and despair. Tyler Joseph, 21 Pilots' lead vocalist and lyricist, questions this practice, asking listeners to confront the deeper implications of how we collectively respond to and memorialize such losses. Lines like, "Promise me this, if I lose to myself, you won't mourn a day and you'll move on to someone else," highlight the danger of creating an environment where despair feels like a path to recognition or permanence in the cultural memory. Joseph seems to suggest that when society dwells on the tragedy of suicide without addressing the underlying issues, it risks inadvertently perpetuating a cycle where others in pain may see this act as a way to achieve validation, attention, or a legacy. This song forces listeners to reflect on the language and narratives that often accompany discussions of said topic. Tributes, while heartfelt, can sometimes elevate the act itself rather than focus on the person's life and the struggles they face, reducing a complex human story to a singular moment of despair. By doing so, society risks overshadowing the importance of addressing mental health support systems and the ways we can intervene to prevent such outcomes. Joseph's critique is not dismissive of mourning or grief, but rather emphasizes a redirection of focus towards prevention, understanding, and celebrating resilience. He urges us to recognize the bravery of those who continue to fight their battles every day, even when it feels insurmountable. This reframing seeks to inspire hope and show that life, despite its challenges, is worth fighting for. Furthermore, Neon Gravestones acts as a challenge to media outlets, public figures, and even listeners themselves to be mindful of how we frame tragedies. It asks whether our collective fascination with dramatic, tragic endings could instead be harnessed to highlight stories of survival and perseverance. For example, celebrating those who seek help, advocate for mental health awareness, or stand as living testaments to the power of hope and connection could create a cultural shift that prioritizes life over loss. Ultimately, Joseph's reflection in Neon Gravestones is a call for accountability. It's a plea to resist glorifying pain as an endpoint and instead focus on fostering environments where individuals feel supported and empowered to endure. By shifting from idolizing pain to celebrating resilience, society can create a more constructive narrative, one that offers hope and healing to those in midst of their struggles. In Neon Gravestones, 21 Pilots advocates for constructive and nuanced conversations about mental health and suicide, topics that are often shrouded in stigma and misunderstanding. The song's title itself is deeply symbolic, with neon gravestones representing the spectacle that frequently surrounds these issues. This image juxtaposes the bright, attention-grabbing allure of neon lights with the gravity of a solemn death, highlighting how public discourse can sometimes sensationalize tragedies rather than treating them with the depth and respect that they deserve. This symbolism critiques the way that suicide is often reduced to headlines, sound bites, or viral social media posts, stripping away the complexity of individual struggles and the broader society factors at play. Joseph's lyrics push listeners to move beyond surface-level reactions and engage with these issues responsibly. For instance, public responses to suicide are often donated by expressions of shock and sorrow, but they rarely extend into meaningful conversations about prevent, support, and understanding. The song challenges this pattern by urging individuals to dig deeper, to question the systems and narratives that contribute to mental health crises, and to foster discussions that are honest, empathetic, and solution-oriented. One of the most powerful aspects of Neon Gravestones is Joseph's willingness to share his own vulnerable thoughts and struggles. By doing so, he creates a bridge of understanding between himself and his audience, allowing listeners to see their own pain and experiences reflected in his words. This shared sense of struggle and survival is crucial in breaking the stigma that often silences conversations about mental health. When a public figure like Tyler Joseph speaks openly about it, and it's okay to seek help, this vulnerability becomes a catalyst for destigmatizing mental health discussions and fostering a culture where openness and support are not encouraged but normalized. The song also underscores the importance of collective responsibility in addressing mental health. mental health is not just an individual issue, it's a societal one, shaped by the systems, environments, and cultures we inhabit. Neon Gravestones challenges us as a society to celebrate and create spaces where individuals feel heard, understood, and valued, spaces where seeking help is not stigmatized but celebrated as an act of courage. This call to action aligns with the broader mental health advocacy movements, which emphasize the need for system changes such as increased access to mental health resources, more comprehensive education, and policies that prioritize well-being. Moreover, this song highlights the power of dialogue in changing cultural perceptions. Honest and compassionate conversations can help dismantle harmful stereotypes about mental health, replacing them with narratives that are empowering and supportive. Such dialogue not only helps those who are struggling, but also educates others, creating a more informed and empathetic society. The song's approach is deeply personal yet universally relevant. By weaving his own experiences into the fabric of the song, Joseph invites listeners to reflect on their roles in fostering a culture of support. He reminds us that change begins with each of us, with how we talk about mental health and how we respond to those in need, and how we challenge the systems that perpetuate the stigma and neglect. Ultimately, Neon Gravestones calls for a cultural shift in how we view and discuss mental health and suicide. It urges us to move away from sensationalism and into spaces of empathy, understanding, and action. By advocating for meaningful dialogue, the song serves as both a critique of the current state of public discourse and a hopeful vision for what it could become. A culture that values life, celebrates resilience, and proves that unwavering support to those who need it most. One of the most profound and transformative messages in Neon Gravestones is its call to celebrate those who continue to fight through their struggles. The line, "Find your grandparents or someone of age, pay respects for the path that they've paved to life they were dedicated, now that should be celebrated," is more than a lyrical suggestion. It is a heartfelt plea for a shift in perspective. It challenges listeners to move away from the glorification of loss and tragedy, focusing instead on honoring the resilience and strength of those who are still with us. This line underscores the importance of valuing the quiet heroism in enduring life's difficulties, a message that feels both deeply personal and universally resonant. This shift in narrative is both healing and hopeful and encourages listeners to recognize and celebrate the resilience of those around them. The song fosters a sense of gratitude and perspective that is often missing in contemporary culture. Too often, we only reflect on someone's value and contributions after they are gone, offering tributes and expressions of love that they can no longer hear. Neon Gravestones confronts this tendency directly, advocating for an active appreciation and support while people are still alive to feel it. This especially is crucial in the context of mental health, where validation, connection, and acknowledgement can serve as lifelines for individuals navigating their darkest moments. Honoring the living is not just about expressing gratitude, it's about redefining what we celebrate as a society. In a culture that often prioritizes grand achievements, fame, or dramatic narratives, the song's call to attention to the quiet, everyday acts of perseverance that are equally, if not more, heroic. The struggles of everyday life, the decisions to get out of bed despite the weight of depression, the choices that keep going to face adversity, are profound acts of courage. By celebrating these acts, Neon Gravestones reframes heroism as something accessible and deeply human, rather than something reserved for the extraordinary or the tragic. This perspective not only uplifts individuals, but also strengthens the social fabric. When we actively recognize and appreciate the efforts of those around us, we foster deeper connections and a sense of moral support. This cultural shift has the power to combat the isolation and disconnection that so often accompany mental health struggles. It encourages us to reach out to others, to express our gratitude and admiration, and to remind people of their inherent value, not just through words, but through actions that demonstrate care and understanding. The song's message is also an invitation to reflect on our relationships and priorities. How often do we pause to truly acknowledge the strength and contributions of those people in our lives? How posing these questions, Neon Gravestones urges us to be more intentional in our interactions, to often encouragement and recognition freely, and to build a culture of appreciation that sustains us all. Moreover, this call to celebrate the living aligns with the broader mental health advocacy efforts that emphasize the importance of early intervention, community support, and the destigmatization of seeking help. By recognizing and validating these struggles of those who are fighting to stay alive, we create an environment where people feel less alone and more empowered to reach out for assistance. This cultural shift has the potential to save lives by replacing silence and stigma with openness and compassion. In essence, Neon Gravestones redefines what it means to honor life. It challenges us to seek resilience, perseverance, and everyday acts of courage as worthy of celebration. asks us not to focus on what is lost, but on what can still be nurtured and preserved. In doing so, the song offers a roadmap for fostering gratitude, connection, and hope, key elements in building a world that uplifts and supports those who are struggling. The musical arrangement of Neon Gravestones is a masterclass in how minimalism can amplify a song's emotional and thematic resonance. By employing a sparse piano melody and subdued beat, the track creates an intimate and complexive atmosphere that allows for the lyrics to take center stage. This stripped-down approach mirrors the raw, unfiltered nature of the conversation Taylor Joseph seeks to provoke, drawing listeners into the weight and gravity of the subject matter without unnecessary distraction. The simplicity of the arrangement is intentional and deeply symbolic. In a world where music is often characterized by layers of complex production, Neon Gravestones opts for a restraint, reflecting the song's call for sincerity and reflection. The minimalist instrumentation serves as a counterpoint to the often sensationalized and loud discourse surrounding mental health and suicide. Just as the song critiques the spectacle and glorification of tragedy, its music simply invites listeners to focus on what truly matters, the message and the emotions that it conveys. This lack of grandiose production also underscores the vulnerability inherent in the song. The unadorned piano and muted beats create a sense of intimacy, as if Joseph speaking directly to the listener. This choice enhances the connection between the artist and the audience, making the song feel personal and immediate. By removing layers of sonic embellishment, the track leaves space for listeners to engage with the lyrics on a deeper level, fostering a reflective and immersive experience. The restrained arrangement also heightens the song's emotional impact. The pauses between the notes, subtle shifts in dynamics, and the deliberate pacing all contribute to a feeling of raw authenticity. This approach mirrors the themes of the song, emphasizing the importance of slowing down and truly engaging with difficult conversations about mental health and loss. The silence between the sounds becomes as powerful as the notes themselves, allowing weight of the lyrics to linger and resonate. Moreover, the minimalist structure mirrors the central message of the song, stripping away the distractions and noise of modern culture to focus on the heart of an issue. In a way, the arrangement reflects the journey of self-examination and the dialogue that the song advocates for. It encourages the listeners to look past superficial responses to mental health struggles and engage in meaningful, unadorned conversations that address the core of the problem. The deliberate choice to prioritize simplicity also speaks to the universal of the song's themes. By avoiding overly complex or genre-specific production, Neon Gravestones becomes accessible to a broader audience. Its simplicity allows the message to transcend multiple music tastes, ensuring that the focus remains on the lyrics and the issues that they address. The arrangement acts as a blank canvas, inviting listeners to project their own experiences and reflections onto the song. In essence, the minimalist approach of Neon Gravestones amplifies its emotional and thematic power. By stripping away excess, the song creates a space where sincerity, vulnerability, and connection can flourish. This choice enhances the song's impact, ensuring its message, centered on reflection, resilience, and the critique of cultural narratives surrounding tragedy, resonates deeply with listeners. Throughout its restrained yet evocative arrangement, the track embodies the very principles it seems to promote: honesty, clarity, and a focus on what truly matters. In a world where mental health often remains a taboo subject, Neon Gravestones stands as a cultural wake-up call, boldly confronting the complexities of suicide and challenging the harmful narratives that surround it. By weaving together its critique of glorification, its call for meaningful dialogue, and its celebration of resilience, the song not only highlights the urgent need for change, but also provides a blueprint for fostering a more compassionate and understanding society. At its core, the song challenges the way in which we, as a culture, perceive and respond to mental health struggles. Suicide, through a deeply personal tragedy, is often sensationalized or romanticized in public discourse, reducing it to a spectacle that risks perpetuating a harmful cycle. Neon Gravestones confronts this head-on, urging listeners to reconsider how such narratives can inadvertently normalize despair or make it seem like a viable path to recognition or escape. The song's lyrics encourage a collective reckoning with these issues, pushing for a shift towards narratives that emphasize hope, healing, and the value of life. The song's critique extends beyond individual responses to cultural and systematic practices. The media covers, social media tributes, and even artistic portrayals of suicide often fall into the trap of dramatization, which can blur the lines between raising awareness or glorifying tragedy. Neon Gravestones urges us to break this cycle by adopting a more thoughtful and responsible approach to discussing these topics. It reminds us that the way we talk about mental health and loss matters deeply, not just to those who are grieving, but to those who are silently struggling and looking for reasons to hold on. Through its raw honesty and vulnerability, the song also fosters a sense of urgency and responsibility. It emphasizes that mental health is not a niche issue, but a universal one that affects individuals, families, and communities all across every single continent. This universally demands a collective response, one that prioritizes understanding, support, and prevention over judgment or avoidance. Neon Gravestones invites listeners to take an active role in this response by educating themselves, reaching out to those in need, and challenging the stigma that so often silences discussions about mental health. The song's call for a meaningful dialogue is particularly impactful in breaking down barriers of understanding. By encouraging open and empathetic conversations, Neon Gravestones helps dismantle the fear and shame that can prevent individuals from seeking help or sharing their struggles. It also fosters a cultural shift towards seeing mental health as a vital aspect of overall well-being, one that deserves the same care and attention as physical health. This change in perspective is essential for creating an environment where individuals feel safe, supported, and valued. Additionally, the song's celebration of resilience offers a powerful counter-narrative to the glorification of said tragedy. By highlighting the strength it takes to persevere through life's challenges, Neon Gravestones reminds listeners of the value of endurance and the importance of holding and honoring those who fight to stay alive. This message not only uplifts individuals but refrains societal priorities by encouraging culture that celebrates life and quiet heroism of everyday survival. Ultimately, Neon Gravestone stands as a powerful reminder that each of us have a role to play in shaping the way society approaches mental health. It challenges us to move beyond passive acknowledgement and toward active participation in creating a world that values understanding, compassion, and connection. Whether by checking in on a friend, advocating for better mental health resources, or simply reevaluating the narratives we consume and perpetuate, the song inspires us to take meaningful steps towards change. In confronting these issues with honesty, care, and urgency, Neon Gravestones serves as not only a critique of the status quo, but also as a hopeful vision of what it could be. It calls us to reject harmful cycles and to build culture that supports and uplifts those in need, a culture where life in all complexities is celebrated and cherished. Neon Gravestones transcends the boundaries of a traditional song, standing as a profound and deeply moving commentary on life, death, and the collective responsibility society holds in shaping the narratives surrounding mental health. By delving into the complexities of these themes, 21 Pilots craft a work that is both reflective and transformative, urging the listeners to re-examine their own perspectives and the cultural framework that influenced them. The song's poignant lyrics serve as a powerful catalyst for introspection and dialogue. Lines like "Promise me this, if I lose to myself, you want more today, and move on to someone else" encapsulate the urgency and depth of its message. These words are not merely a plea, but a challenge to reject the harmful glorification of tragedy and instead celebrate the strength and resilience it takes to continue living. Through raw honesty and vulnerability, the song bridges the gap between artist and audience, creating a shared space where difficult but necessary conversations can begin. The Minimalist production amplifies this intimacy, stripping away distractions and allowing the song's message to take center stage. The sparse piano melodies and subdued beats reflect the gravity of the subject matter, drawing the listener into a deeply personal and contemplative experience. This deliberate simplicity mirrors the song's call for clarity and sincerity in how society addresses mental health, eschewing spectacle for substance and superficiality for genuine understanding. At its heart, Neon Gravestones is a call to action. It implores us to honor the living, those who persevere through life's challenges with quiet courage. This shift in focus from mourning loss to celebrating resilience is both healing and empowering. It reminds us to actively appreciate and support the people in our lives, to see their struggles and triumphs as worthy recognition while they are still here. And in doing so, the song encourages this cultural shift towards valuing life and the everyday acts of endurance that define the human experience. The song's advocacy for meaningful dialogue further solidifies its role as a cultural wake-up call. By opening up its own struggles, Tyler Joseph exemplifies the importance of vulnerability and shared understanding in breaking the stigma around mental health. The song challenges listeners to move beyond surface-level reactions and engage in thoughtful, empathetic conversations that prioritize healing and prevention. It calls for a society where seeking help is not seen as a weakness, but as an act of bravery, and where narratives around mental health are rooted in compassion and support. Ultimately, Neon Gravestones is a beacon of hope for those navigating their struggles and a challenge society to do better. It reminds us that words, actions, and collective attitudes have the power to shape lives for the better or for the worse. By rejecting harmful glorification, fostering meaningful dialogue, and celebrating the resilience of the living, the song lays the foundation for a more understanding and supportive culture. In a world that often overlooks the quiet heroism of perseverance, Neon Gravestones stands as a poignant reminder that life, in all of its complexities, is worth cherishing and fighting for. It calls on each of us to reflect on our role in shaping the narratives around mental health and to take meaningful steps towards creating a world where everyone feels valued, supported, and seen. Through its evocative delivery and enduring message, the song not only inspires reflection, but also demands action, challenging us all to build a brighter and more compassionate future. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's one of the most passionate videos I've ever made, considering it covers such a very important topic. If you like this video, feel free to leave a comment telling me your thoughts and opinions. One more thing before I end the video. If anyone you know is struggling with any of the topics that I brought up in this video, don't be afraid to ask someone for help. The video talks about how, getting help is one of the biggest steps of bravery a person can take. So if you're having any struggles with these topics, I'll leave some links in the description for those who may need it. Thank you guys so much again for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. And don't forget, stay alive.